Hello, and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Deadmansky.
And I'm Justin DeBoo.
And I'm Killen Cunningham.
Thank you, whoever gave us all those names. Wait, do you have the name, April? Because you found it on Twitter.
I'll have to pull it up. But
okay, we'll say it at the end.
Thank you for the help.
Yeah, because obviously we can't really do the spooky name things ourselves. We are incapable of it.
Oh, I got it. It's Steph K. L-O-K.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, because I was born like that. No spooky names at birth.
I'm too lazy.
Yeah, that's right. So it's still Shocktober, even though that you're listening to this on
November
1st. My birthday.
Is
Happy
it really?
birthday.
Yeah, November 1st.
Oh, and you're playing Parole Violators.
Parole
at
Violators.
the Royal
You
Cinema.
know what? I'm going to promote that again at the end of the podcast. But if you are in Toronto and listening to this on November 1st, come to see Parole Violators, a great movie.
I hope you're listening to this podcast right when it drops, because it's that day.
Just drop whatever you're
that
doing and just go now.
Yeah, go buy me a present and then come to the theater, the Royal Cinema.
Jump out of the window and land on the street.
Oh my God.
Okay, but what movies did we watch this week, April?
So this week we decided to watch two different Frank Henenlotter movies. We watched Brain Damage first, and then we kind of went back to the original hit of his, Basket Case.
It was supposedly a pretty big hit, considering that it spawned two sequels really many years after it came out.
I could see that. And like the opening of the movie, when we watched it, it was like from the Museum of Modern Art.
Yeah, they remastered it just recently. They did a 4K restoration.
Really?
Yep. Because, it represents New York very well in the early 80s.
Boy, does it ever.
We watched Brain Damage first, and you guys hadn't seen this one before, right?
I haven't seen any of his movies.
Oh, really?
No.
Not even Frankenhooker? Which you had the VHS box, and if you touch it, it goes, "Wanna date?" That's what it's most famous for, is that like a little button on the front. Do you remember like VHSs that would have like weird, like, oh, it's blood covered?
Yeah, it would be like the kind of 3D printed, like vacuum form, and it had like...
Oh, Jack Frost, that's just like a fun snowman.
Yeah.
Oh my God! When you turn to the side and he turns to a scary
I
snowman.
remember that, but were there like buttons and noises and stuff?
Yeah,
Some of them. They were like gimmick ones.
There was one called like Metamorphosis. It's like you would hit it and it's like it would go, ooh, and like the eyes would flash. The problem with that is that like in the video store, I'm sure the clerk is like, holy shit.
Yeah.
People
like,
keep hitting this button.
You would probably just be kids all the time, like, Mommy, look.
There was a VHS of Dead Pit. You hit it as well. And I think its eyes lit up. So there were some gimmicks.
They'd probably just like pull the battery out after a few seconds.
It's like, I don't want this anymore.
Oh no, it's broken.
But yeah, so Brain Damage is the one that people remember because it's the turd or dick that gives drug juice into the protagonist's brain.
It's like a little tentacle monster.
Yeah, it's like a talking penis tentacle.
Yeah, a talking penis tentacle, a big bulging head.
But it's really cute.
Eyes.
Yeah, he's got like this big kind of brain head, and then he's got these tiny little eyes.
Aylmer is his name.
Aylmer.
I always want to say Elmer.
Yeah, but the guy gets corrected in the movie.
He does.
He's like, no, it's Aylmer.
Frank Henenlotter knew that people would do that, so he was like, I gotta, set the record straight now. Well, we should talk a little bit about like Frank Henenlotter for people that don't know who he is.
Yeah, so I heard of him as like a body horror kind of type person,
David Cronenberg,
right?
Frank Henenlotter.
Yeah, and he's famous for prosthetics.
No, he's famous for Basket Case.
Puppets.
Yeah.
But do all his movies kind of have that kind of body horror, like?
I think that he's probably
thing.
most famous for the idea of like grindhouse New York and portraying it on film in that like trilogy of Basket Case, Brain Damage, and Frankenhooker.
Right.
And what's interesting about him is that he's kind of like neo grindhouse, because while people may associate him with that kind of like 42nd Street and seediness, his films actually came out of a love for the movies he saw when he was younger. And so he caught it just on the tail end before it got like cleaned up and Disneyfied, as a lot of people like to call it.
Right.
And that's the reason that something like Basket Case would be kind of documented or by MoMA, because it does capture the city in that state.
It definitely does, that whole feel. And like I was saying, watching this movie, or sorry, we're going to jump ahead to
Brain
Basket
Damage,
Case.
yeah. But they both have those kind of like, that kind of
New
textured
York.
feel.
Feels like gritty and
textured
real.
is right, because like when we were watching Basket Case, I was like, all the doors everywhere, all the hallways were so grimy, and all the doors looked like they'd been painted over like 15 times, over the years, over the decades, and they were just like get thicker and thicker. And
when you're talking about like that neo grindhouse, it's Frank Henenlotter and William Lustig that people always talk about. William Lustig having made Vigilante and Maniac and and Maniac Cop.
Yeah.
And they both kind of worked in the same fields and actually kind of worked with the same producers. Brain Damage was produced by James Glickenhaus, the guy who did Showdown, the movie with RoboCop himself.
Peter Weller?
Peter Weller, yeah. And Mr. Mustache. I don't know why I can't think of any names. What's his name? Big Lebowski.
Tom Selleck.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Yeah, you haven't seen that movie where they play two cops on different sides of the law that team up? Yeah.
No?
James Glickenhaus also did The Exterminator.
Okay, yeah.
He directed.
I've seen The Exterminator too.
Jackie Chan's second American film, The Protector.
Oh, The Protector.
The one where Jackie Chan's like, drop the fucking keys at the beginning. Yeah, so that was like a New York production company, and they funded Frank Henenlotter's films in that small period of time. I mean, Brain Damage is much slicker than Basket Case.
It is, yeah. Not by much.
No,
I was like, when you said that, I was expecting Basket Case to look a lot rougher than it did, but it was actually pretty competent and clear. And
I mean, Basket Case, I think, is shot on 16, and Brain Damage is shot on 35. Right. So it does look different.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like the level of like prosthetics and like effects and stuff like there's a lot of like optical
and, like,
effects.
The locations are similar in where there's not a ton of different locations in either movie.
Yeah.
Lots of cramped apartment hallways.
A lot of apartments.
Set.
Yeah.
Alleys. There's a lot of alleys in Brain Damage. They go to a restaurant once that weirdly has a brick wall inside. And I was like, did they shoot this outside and dress it as a restaurant? Who knows?
You're not going to the cool restaurants, April.
Yeah.
So Brain Damage is about a guy, I forget what his name is. Is it like Ben or something?
Brian.
Like
Did you say
Brian?
Yeah. Who one day wakes up with this turd monster in his bed, and it injects drugs into the back of his neck, and he kind of like hallucinates, and the feeling's so good he needs more. But the monster, to continue giving him more, needs brains to eat.
Fresh brains, yeah. So it kind of opens up, and what I really liked about it, and I saw it in both of these movies, is the movie just opens. It's like the cold open.
Yeah.
It just gets going.
Yep.
There's no build up or like, hey, here's the characters.
Yeah, like we get no introduction to who he was before this happened.
We just get the introduction. It's like this old couple in an apartment, and the lady's bringing a plate of cow brains or something to whatever.
To the bathtub.
Yeah, and then they get to the bathtub. Whatever is like missing, and they start freaking out, and then eventually cuts back to them, and their mouths are foaming. You later on find out, I guess it's like like junkies sort of getting withdrawal symptoms. Yeah.
They need their brain dick fix.
It's like a not very subtle drug metaphor.
No, I mean, is it even a metaphor?
No,
because it is
it literally
fairly literal.
is a drug. Yeah.
I mean, I can say what my favorite thing of Brain Damage is I love the hallucination effects. And I remember not liking it the first time I saw it because I was like, I want it to be crazier.
Yeah.
But I think it hits that perfect balance is that I always have a problem like when I would make movies and people would hallucinate is that like when anything can happen, it's always disappointing when you can only do like little things when people are like, it's crazy. But it just gets that right feeling of like picking a visual idea. Like the first time the guy trips out, it's like his room like kind of fills with blue liquid.
I had that starred as my favorite thing.
Yeah, and that is really such like a disturbing kind of like you can imagine kind of like dreaming that.
Yeah, and you don't know what the hell's going on. But then another thing is like he in that same sequence he kind of looks up at the ceiling.
Yes,
and there's this like little ceiling kind of pot light, and then he keeps looking back at it, and it keeps changing every time into like this eyeball, and it's like really gross looking.
Or at one point, he's at a restaurant and like his plate has like brains on it, and they're like breathing. They're like.
His meatballs turn into brains.
The talking meatballs.
Yeah. I love how he covers it and then pulls it back and there's more brains on it.
More.
They're just worse.
It's like when he is like first getting the drug, it's mostly represented by colorful lights. But it's done in like a very interesting way where I think by the time it's happening multiple times, you're like, you kind of just got to imagine what he's seeing.
It's like Midsummer.
Speaking of it, Midsommar did like a more realistic.
That was bang on.
A more realistic thing, but like this is like you're almost watching like an 80s music video.
It is cool. There was that whole scene. He runs to the junkyard, and he starts like freaking out, like wow!
Lights.
And then it cuts to his vision, and it's just like lights shooting out of the
Someone
cars.
told me that if you smoke salvia, you do have that like whoa, like actual
I've
like
heard
visual crazy stuff. But everybody who I've heard actually done that is like it's not fun.
No, I've seen
it's so crazy.
It's supposed to be scary.
You can look up on YouTube, look at like salvia freakouts, and they are
don't
absolutely
do that.
insane.
That sounds scary.
Wait, have you seen the one of the guy? He's like sitting in a car, like a cat jumps up, and he's like, "Whoa!" And then it pans over to the cat.
No, I've seen the one of the guy sitting on a couch, and then he freaks out, and then just smashes his room, like freaking out, and then like ends up smashing through his window and falling out.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
why would anybody take that?
Some friends in college tried to they took some, and then they tried to get my friend to like make a sandwich, and like he couldn't do anything, and it was so not fun that they're like, we're not going to edit that footage together.
Well, also the thing about salvia is that it lasts 5 minutes.
It doesn't last long. It lasts like 5 minutes. Yeah,
but don't take it, people.
No, yeah, and as some parental figures once told me, don't take acid 2 days in a row; it won't have the same impact.
as
Ozzy Osbourne.
No, it's like adult grown-ups told me when I was growing up, always drink your milk, go to school, and don't do drugs.
The only adult figure you had was Mr. T.
Yeah. Come on.
And then it's like, don't get embarrassed. If you fall, start breakdancing.
Don't do milk.
Don't do milk.
It was like
Mr. T had a very anti-milk bias.
No, it was like the SNL ones they'd always do on Mr. T. He's like, don't do milk.
But the flip side of the hallucinogenic nature of this drug is that when you don't take it, you start to trip out bad. So I think that's when he was seeing like the brains in his meatballs.
Yes.
And much later, he goes through severe withdrawal.
Oh, there's that great scene.
It was so gross.
He reaches into his ear and he starts to pull his brains out.
Oh, that was
then it
disgusting.
cuts to like his ear popping off and blood just shooting out.
But he's pulling so much. It's like a clown. Like imagine, like the clown hanky that just keeps going. It's like that, only it's disgusting brains. It kind of
he's
Oh,
like constantly screaming every time.
But we haven't really talked about, I guess what's my favorite thing is the monster itself. We talked about how cute it looks, but it has a very, very interesting voice, which I think changes the entire tone of the movie.
It's like, hello there, Brian.
It sounds like a kindly English professor or something.
It's actually a pretty famous horror host who.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, and there was like a big controversy because he's not credited. And the reason why is because Frank Henenlotter called them up and said, "Hey, how do you want your name spelled on the credits?" And the horror host was like, "Oh, on my SAG card it says this." And Frank Henenlotter was like, "This is not a union film.
Oh.
We cannot list you."
Yeah.
And the unions, he said at that time, were very litigious, and that they would get really badly fined.
Yeah.
So the guy was like, "Just don't put my name then. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Just tell people that you did me."
Right.
And that you can do a good imitation of me. And I mean, his voice is so friendly. It's
great.
Hey,
it's like,
how's it going,
So
Brian?
he was a TV horror host?
Yeah, horror host, Svengoolie and stuff like that.
That's
I
neat.
would listen to him.
Yeah.
Come on, he's like, just put me on the back of your neck, Brian.
Yeah, just put me
But the thing is, you don't see it coming when it starts talking, and it's like 20 minutes into the movie, I think, and he's like, "Hi, Brian."
Yeah.
And he's
His
always
head pops out, and he starts talking.
He's always moving from side to side
Yeah.
to really, give him life. And his mouth is perfectly synced with his dialogue.
Yeah, but he has this little even when they're holding him, his tail's always wriggling, and it's really cool. It's very effective.
Good animatronics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Animatronics.
Sometimes it's a puppet, but
or stop motion.
I wonder,
Yeah.
if it was always the plan to have this person do the voice, or if it was just decided after or later. Because if you think imagine this movie with a typical scary I'm a monster.
Yeah,
voice.
of course.
That's your particular scary.
Well, imagine if it was Brad Dourif or something.
like a Chucky style voice or something.
You wouldn't
like
listen
that.
if Brad Dourif says, "Put me on the back of your neck." I'm like, no way.
Yeah, it totally changes the tone.
But that's what drugs are, right? Is that it's
Oh, they're
so
so enticing.
Yeah, enticing. Even though you're looking at it and you're like, this is horrible looking.
It's disgusting,
Yeah,
blue,
and he's-
slimy.
Yeah, he kind of wakes up. He's got blood on the back of his neck. He doesn't know why. And
Yeah.
you don't.
When I find blood in my underwear, I want to know where it came from.
And this blue penis creatures
Yeah.
tells me to put him on the back of my neck.
What's interesting about both of these films is that it's main protagonist kind of trapped in this situation, and both of them end the same way, which is not even them making a decision. It's outside forces that or just outside situations that just put an end to it.
Yeah, the situation just escalates.
Yeah.
But both of them like the creature and are helping the creature,
Yeah.
even though they don't really want to, because the creature is killing people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get
they
trapped.
know it's bad, but they can't just stop.
That's the only downside, I would say. That's bad is in order for this creature to give him the drugs that he needs, he needs to murder people. He needs to eat fresh brains.
Well, the old couple kind of had a good thing going where they were just animal brains.
But Elmer was really pissed off at that. That's
yeah,
why
because
he
he's like, you
escaped.
kept me weak.
Yeah,
well, I'm guessing that they had this thing for like 20 years or something.
Didn't you follow the long, and Frank Henenlotter has said this himself, Maltese Falcon-like speech?
Which
where
is
the guy,
bullshit.
Yeah, he says, "Oh, he's been around
Oh,
through
it's
the
bullshit. Why is it bullshit?
Because
April?
it's stupid, first of all, that a thing like this could be existing for what did he say, like 500 years or something like that?
Considering how easily it's killed, maybe.
And it clearly came from like, it's an alien, but the old man never says alien. He's just like, it's been here
I
forever.
like how he knows so much about these things, like very specifically. Oh, this thing couldn't exist for this penis monster.
Yeah,
couldn't
I think
exist
it's
for
weird that
500
April, you're
years.
taking a
I don't
lot of, it's like, April, you have something to tell us? Are Elmers actually real?
Wait a minute.
I don't think so. It could be.
Yeah.
It
April turns around. She has the one on the back of her neck.
That's like a pretty common like sci-fi trope, right? Is like slugs that either like go in your ear or like are on your body somewhere.
Yeah, kind of controlling you. I like this one though. It's very, he's very convincing and enticing, and it's just very calm. And,
It's funny how the old couple want him back so bad.
Well, they're like falling apart.
Yeah,
Like,
they kind of they show up. You think they're dead because the last time you see them, they've got all this foam shooting out of their mouths, and you're like, okay, something's happened. Like they're dead, and then they show up later in the movie, but they've clearly aged. So you've got all this like wrinkly old age makeup. So I guess that's the withdrawal from the drug.
The makeup was great in this. Like even Brian was like, he looked like a freaking zombie. He was so white by the end of the movie.
Yeah, everything. It just everything was so gross in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
I remember we were eating.
You were
We were eating dinner, of
We were
course.
eating
Were you
dinner.
eating
watching
sausages?
it.
You're like,
It's just disgusting.
I mean, we should talk about probably the most famous scene in the movie, which is a certain sexual act. Well, not really, but it looks like it.
Yeah.
Where our hero ends up at a club hell.
It's like this punk club.
Yeah.
And then this punk woman like picks him up and takes him out to the back alleyway, and she's like gonna give him oral sex. So she's unzipping, and I knew this was happening. She's like unzipping his fly, and then they have her POV.
Yeah, and Elmer's like, "Rawr!"
Just pops out towards
Mouth.
camera into her mouth.
And like you see it and it looks like a blowjob, but like blood is coming out, so he's like eating
Oh,
her
it's
brain.
so
I had a
disgusting.
memory of it going through her head and like coming out the other side,
No,
but it doesn't
no,
in the movie.
it
It's
doesn't.
another movie.
Because like he pulls out and it just like pulls out all of her brains with
Yeah.
it.
That's
Which
so
in a similar
gross.
thing happens later with his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, where he's kissing and Elmer is somehow in his mouth.
Yes, that's a very funny where Elmer is suddenly animated.
Yeah, and small. Like he couldn't. Was he in his throat? Who knows?
I guess so. Yeah.
You're looking for logic
Seems
is
logic,
a fruitless search, April.
He
Yeah,
kind of
Frank
like,
Henenlotter.
he does have a girlfriend throughout this movie, and his brother, who he lives with, I guess
Yeah.
it's like his roommate as well.
Is
so,
the David Dakota extra who's always in his underwear.
so he kind of like fucks off Brian. He's sort of getting, more into this thing and disappears, and he's killing more and more people. And then the girlfriend is getting more concerned, and then the brother's like making the moves on the girlfriend.
Oh, classic
He just-
brother moves.
They have sex and
They have sex, and then Brian comes,
just
he
lets it happen.
walks in on them, and then the girlfriend's like, oh, it's not what it looks like, and the brother says, well, you couldn't have just left and not expected something to happen.
But it's like it annoyed me that like that's towards the end of the movie, and Brian basically tells them what's going on. He doesn't say I have an alien slug on my body, but he says like, this gets me high and it's going to kill someone and I don't want you around, or if it's going to be you. And it's like they didn't even hear him. They're just like, just tell us what's happening. They've been saying that the whole movie. So then she goes and finds him and she gets killed. It's her own fault.
Wow,
Kind of.
victim blaming, April.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't mean to. But if someone says, don't be back here, don't be around me, or you're going to get killed, maybe you should go away and call the cops or something.
April, did you get taken in by the logic police this week?
Yeah, I guess so. I did enjoy
Listen, if
this
I
movie.
tell you that there's a monster, you better not be back, because if that monster kills you, it's your fault.
It's your own fault.
Oh man, we're gonna come in and like Colin's dead, and April was a werewolf, and she's like, I warned him, I told him I was a werewolf.
And then I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
Really, it's a metaphor for abusive relationships and how women always go back to them.
It's kind of a good scene where they meet up on the subway. He gets on the subway. The girlfriend like chases after him. And then we get a cameo. I hadn't seen Basket Case yet. So, but I just assumed. It's like the guy from Basket Case is sitting right across
Guy
from
carrying
him,
in a big basket.
a gigantic basket. And I said,
And a giant mullet.
oh, yeah, right.
He had
So
a big
we'll talk
puppy
about it in
hair.
a second.
What was your favorite part, Colin?
I've got to say, I liked well, you took mine.
I know,
which was
I stole it
the
from you.
visions, but I did like the first scene when he runs to the junkyard, and I'm like, God, I hope they're not, because they just hold on him for a while as he's freaking out.
Yeah.
And he's seeing something. I'm thinking, I hope they don't. This isn't how they portray this, drug. It's
He's just in a
just
junkyard.
hold on him, and he's just staring at things off screen. But they actually show his POV, and it's really cool. And he's running around and
There's
like
opticals.
freaking out. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a good thing. There's lots of good, effective opticals and prosthetics.
I
in
remember being a kid and reading on the internet people making fun of how people die in this movie, which is Almer like grabs her forehead and then the actor's like,
It is.
and they call
silly.
it like rhino kills.
Yeah, it's
because they look like
This is-
rhinoceros.
Yeah,
I don't know. I find it's kind of disturbing, the idea of like having that thing on your head and they're always grabbing it to pull it off. And they
Yeah,
can never
they
quite do
can't.
it.
Where they
Yeah.
cut away and then they cut back and he's deeper inside their
Yeah.
head. Like it gets shorter and it's just it's
very,
really
very
gross.
effective makeup and prosthetics. And also, how about when Elmer opens his mouth and reveals millions of teeth?
Oh yeah,
and
that's
little
right.
tiny tentacles inside.
Yeah, and this big needle comes
out and
Yeah.
like puts the liquid. I guess the idea is that Almer is kind of invincible until he's doing that action.
Right.
Because that's when he
guess.
gets killed and squeezed.
Yeah, which is really gross.
He's
So yeah,
vulnerable.
the old people want him back, and then there's like this big kerfuffle, and then Brian is getting injected by Elmer, and then the old man grabs Elmer and squeezes him, and then his eyes are like popping out.
Like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Squeezes all the blue acid juice
It just squirts all over Brian's
into
brain.
Brian's brain, and then Elmer supposedly is dead. There was no brain damage too, as far as we
Yeah,
know.
but then
So-
Brian's head starts like bulging. He's got this
Yeah.
big gross
that looks
thing.
so cool. It was like a giant zit on
Like
his
a
forehead.
bladder effect that's
Yeah.
like shooting liquid out of it too.
And then he runs up to his apartment. The brother opens the door, and he's got this big, like, pulsating, like, thing on his head. And then that grows another pulsating thing.
His
and
brother seems very non-pulsed about it all.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
not worried at all.
you
He's
say
like, is your girlfriend there?
non-pulsed.
Non-pulsed? What did I say?
You said non-pulsed.
It's not.
I made
it's
up a word.
non-plus.
No, because he had a pulsating thing here.
Even
yeah, that's what I
better.
meant. Wink.
But then, like, what does he do? Does he hit his head with a hammer? I forget.
No, he
No,
shoots
gets a
himself.
gun.
Oh, he shoots himself, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't kill him. That just opens an electrical portal,
Which is great. This is, okay, I want to change my favorite thing.
yeah. This is
Let's
the,
do
the
that.
final
ending.
frame of the movie.
It's like everyone bursts into the room, and he's like, this big chunk of his head is blown off, and this big God rays shooting out of his brain.
Light is coming out of his head.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And
It's
then
really
it
cool.
ends.
open your third eye,
Yeah,
man.
It's a very unsatisfying ending, but at least it
know.
was creative and interesting because it's like, what does that mean? What happened?
You don't
I
want
know.
any answers. When you get answers, that's unsatisfying.
It's going to be either, it's going to end two ways. It's going to end like Basket Case did. It's like the
Yeah.
person like killing
Kill
themselves,
themselves.
or jumping off a building or something like that. But I appreciated this. It was open-ended.
different.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
You sound like a parent who their kid forced them to watch this movie. You're like,
Oh,
it was
it was-
weird.
it
It was
was-
very odd and different.
It was very creative.
It was interesting.
Thanks, Mom.
Where do they come up with these ideas?
Frank Henenlotter. He wrote these movies, right?
Yeah, he did. These are like, and he was like the cameraman, and he.
He edited Basket Case.
Yeah,
twice,
Basket Case was really like a one-man band show for him. Like he shot it over like weekends, over a very long period of time, and just scrounging up the money to get it completed. Like it's very difficult to make these kind of things.
You'd never know it was shot over that length of time for the consistency of the main guy's hair size.
or everybody's the wigs that they're wearing.
So are we moving on to Basket Case?
Yeah,
then?
we are. What's in the basket?
So yeah, this is the
this
second
one,
movie.
I've been like trying to rent this forever. It's always on.
It's always out at the video store.
It's always on iTunes, but it's always $4.99. I'm like, I'm gonna wait for it.
Did we get it for 99 cents?
it's
I'm staring at the $40 Blu-ray I have on my shelf.
It's Halloween. This is the best time because iTunes always like knocks down these scary movies to 99 cents.
Watch out, Colin. They're very scary.
But you can stockpile them. You can just say rent and watch later. Rent it, and you've got a month.
You do. So it
Yeah.
doesn't like on iTunes, you don't just get like 3 days from the date
No.
of rental.
It's
No.
24. It's 48 hours from the time you hit play, or 30 days before you hit play.
Oh, okay. So until you hit play.
So
has it ever happened where you're like, no, when you accidentally hit play?
No.
You walk in and like April just playing it. You're like, no, what are you doing?
Now I only have 48 hours.
I constantly add movies that are 99 cents. So add or buy and rent and watch later is what I'm trying to say.
But then you have
and
too
then
many.
I have 30 days, and then I end up stockpiling these movies.
And then in the last day, do you have to watch them all?
It tells you how many days
it's like
are
this
left.
endless, stressful month for me. As I count down the days, I'm like, oh shit, I have like 3 movies to watch, and I keep checking like, 15 days left. And I will say that 99% of the times that I rent these 99-cent things and do that, I never end up watching them.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you seen some where you're like, no, why didn't I watch that?
Yeah, Brain Damage last year.
Yeah.
We didn't watch it. I think Basket Case too. I think we rented that too and never watched it.
Maybe.
Did we?
It's
I don't
okay.
think so.
Frank Henenlotter has giant like money bags with dollar signs on him. He's like, thanks, Colin.
Thankfully, it's only 99 cents, but it still just bugs me. It's like, God damn it.
Well, also like the 48 hours thing, like that one time you had time left and then you watched it late at night and fell asleep and then like forgot about it and then oh no, it's gone.
Yeah. Which movie was that?
High Rise? I wasn't there. You just told me about it later.
Yeah, it was High Rise. No, that was on Netflix, but I think you watched one. You finished it.
Oh.
And you're like, hey, it was The Love Witch.
Oh, right, The Love Witch. Yeah, and then next day it's on Shudder.
Yeah,
so they're always
it
getting us
happens.
with those.
But the thing was, whenever something on iTunes goes for 99 cents and it's not like a special, that means it's coming on Netflix.
Oh,
next
really?
week, yeah.
That's really
how they
gotta get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like it's 99 cents.
That's nothing. Yeah.
I know.
It comes to a little more with tax.
As a person who was raised by like a frugal Scottish woman,
Roger Corman? Sorry, I've been doing a lot of research on Roger Corman lately. And
now you know, Colin. That movie was
your Roger Corman voice?
That was 99 cents.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to tell you, that was a lot of money.
All right.
I could have made 3 movies with that money.
Yeah, and none of them that you would have liked. My pal Will Sloan made a sobering question he asked on Twitter. He's like, has Roger Corman made a single good movie since 91? Which is the year that the Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman Brain Damage came out.
Wait,
and
the
Unborn.
other Brain Damage.
They did Brain Damage as well?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, sorry. Brain Dead, it was called.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah, that's why Dead
I haven't
Alive is called Dead Alive because Brain Dead.
because of
and
that.
what's crazy is if you look at Roger Corman's filmography, since that year, he has not even made a cult film people like that he's produced. That is insane.
I feel like he's just gotten into those kind of Sharknado type things.
But even before then, it was like
Just
movies for no one.
When did that Fantastic Four movie
That was after.
not
but that's
come
one
out?
that people
It
don't
technically
like.
didn't come out,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, it was
but
never-
I mean, I've never seen that, but I
You can
want
find it.
to watch it.
I think it's
Wait.
on YouTube.
Yeah, it is. Let me grab the steering wheel. How do we bring this back to Brain? Basket Case.
Basket Case.
Roger Corman not passionate about his film. Frank Henenlotter so passionate he can only make a few, like Brain Damage. Basket Case. Okay, there's a problem with Frank Henenlotter's early films. They both start with B,
and it's 2 words.
and it's 2 words.
Yeah.
So Basket Case is about a young mulleted man who comes to grimy New York City with a big old basket, a wicker basket.
We'll
under
talk
his
about
arm.
his hair in a little bit.
Is that your favorite thing?
Oh my God.
You keep like
curly.
hinting about his hair, and I'm like, I don't know what else there'll be to say, Colin.
Well, I mean,
his
and
luscious locks.
This opens again, like right in the action. It's like some doctor, I guess, running around his house, and he's
Yeah.
being stalked by something, and then
You
he
don't
ends up-
see it.
You don't see it.
Except for a meaty hand that comes up and rips his face.
Yeah, which I heard was like Frank Henenlotter. Anytime you see the hand Basket Case, it's actually like Frank Henenlotter's hand in a glove.
In a prosthetic, not
Yeah.
his
Not
freakish
his actual hand.
Not his actual hand. Yeah.
His big, meaty, rotted,
Yeah, that's right.
clawed hands.
But yeah, so it gets going with what's our main character's name? Mullet Man.
Mr. Basket.
Baskets.
Dwayne, his name was.
He
I don't know
comes
his
to
name,
New
but his-
York.
the actor,
I believe it was Dwayne.
it's like Kevin von Henterick.
Yes,
And
that's
I'm-
the main actor.
I'm
who plays
convinced he's like German. He has some sort of accent, like
He probably is. Did you say his last name's Von something?
von Henterick.
It. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
related to Lars von Trier.
Yeah, that sounds European.
Yeah, so he plays the main character who's going around New York, and it's unclear what he's doing at first. He has this thing in a basket. He's talking to it.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, he loves picnics.
You're
Yeah.
like, oh, Justin, is this some kind of picnic-based horror movie?
Weird. He hasn't gone to a park yet.
You think he's just kind of like a weirdo, and then he goes and checks into was it a motel?
Yes.
A hotel?
Yeah, it's like this
The
hotel.
grimiest hotel
Yeah.
in New York.
Now, the owner of the hotel, the guy who runs the front desk,
Dennis
is
Franz.
Awesome. No, he looks like Bob Hoskins.
I think he looks a little more like Dennis Franz.
I don't know.
Fight it out, guys.
Yeah,
He might be my favorite character.
listeners, you watch it.
Favorite
I don't remember
character.
what he said, but he has gusto.
No, he says like he goes, how long? He goes, I want a room, and he says, well, how long for? Do you want it for like a couple hours, couple of years? Tell me.
April's like, I have a thing for what is it? Wife beaters is not the politically correct term.
What was
What
that?
is it?
The white shirts.
So we just call them white tank tops
just like
now?
tank tops.
Tank tops. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
He wears this. I was thinking earlier, like, because he comes back multiple times.
Yeah.
He's always wearing the same outfit. But then I was like, well, it's just a white tank top.
He looks like,
probably just has 10 of them.
He looks like Carl
yeah,
from
like Bart Simpson.
He looks like Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yes, that's exactly
He's
who
a
he looks
very,
like.
very hairy neck.
You can't be a landlord in New York without a hairy neck.
And this is where, like, I was talking about earlier about every door looks like it's been painted 16 times or 20 times.
Yeah,
You know?
I think this is a set though, like the hotel hallway and the indoors
It
of the
looks
hotel.
so real,
and it's like
but then,
peeling off.
Yeah.
Then we kind of saw the walls moving later when people are like banging on the
Yeah, April
doors.
pointed that out, and I kind of looked. There's one scene where he kind of runs out of his door, or
Mm-hmm.
the girl gets thrown against the wall, and it kind of shakes like a set, but it looks so genuine.
Yes,
Very
just because
real.
gross.
Ah,
it looks
it's
like,
just
almost like a
disgusting.
hyper real Joe's apartment style
Yeah.
set deck.
Yeah.
Just a shout out to all you Joe's apartment fans.
It's all two of you.
Wait, did you work on that movie? That feel like a movie that you would work on, Joe's
No,
apartment with the
I-
CGI cockroaches.
When it came out, it was a big deal. It was
Wait,
like,
who stars in that? Is it Jerry O'Connell?
I can't remember.
I think so, but
okay.
I've never actually seen this. I don't even know what this weird movie's about.
You-
Cockroaches?
Yeah, dancing cockroaches. You must have seen the trailer a million times when you were a kid because it was
I
like
think
Joe's
so.
apartment town.
Cockroaches, very well done. That was
That's right. It was a remake of Basket Case. So we find out that in this basket is Dwayne's brother, Belial, who is this freakish-looking monster
this
thing
design.
with black eyes.
Okay, I have to jump in and say this is my favorite thing about the movie. The design of him is so off-putting
Yeah.
and just horrific
What
and creepy.
what is off-put? Like the lumpiness
It's-
of it?
If it was
His rocket powers?
I think the first time you see him, the only time I saw him was on the actual cover or the iTunes like thumbnail. They make it more monstrous, that thing, but it's just how kind of benign and human-like his face
It's the
looks
face.
is so creepy because it looks like someone in a mask.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of waiting for it to open its eyes and do all this sort of stuff, but it just has this very dead expression, and it's just very
mou-
realistic
yeah,
looking, and
Its
it looks
mouth is like, "Rah."
yeah. And anytime
got
you see him, he
sharp
goes.
teeth. And then he hops out like a magnet out of that box.
It's like the size of like a basketball, I guess, and then
Yeah.
like arms and hands.
Yeah, he
and
has
the
no
hands that have
legs.
like missing fingers. It's creepy looking.
It's really creepy looking.
But when you see them as a kid, because what we learn is that Belial was his Siamese brother that was growing out like a tumor out of his side, and they got separated.
Beacon of not politically correct.
What, Siamese brother?
Oh, I think they prefer to be
It's
called
like conjoined.
Conjoined.
Twins,
Okay.
Twins.
Yes, there you go.
But yeah, like I actually appreciated that flashback of the origin story.
Yeah, back when Belial had beautiful blue eyes
Yeah.
before he went
Yeah,
to the
that's
dark
weird.
side.
You know what?
Sorry, killing
Maybe
people.
like whatever makes your eyes blue. Melanin, maybe? No, that's skin.
Okay. Are you
it-
trying to logically figure out why his eyes would be
yeah,
black?
it ran out after they were separated.
Wait. So were you watching the movie, and you're like, wait, how does Belial actually function? How many organs does he have?
Because later you find out he has a penis.
Yes, you do.
Ugh.
And April, every time he jumped out of his basket, would be like, how is he jumping out of that basket?
No, because he just like flies out of it.
Reverse.
Yeah, I'm trying to put too
filming.
much
He's got a
logic.
spring under him.
Yeah, in the basket.
In the basket.
He like pulls a lever, it's like, bang.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of like a heartbreaking flashback, but it's also really like gruesome because you find out that the dad wanted to kill it because it killed the mom during childbirth, and then they murder the dad.
With the
Yeah.
most, I guess, complicated, like,
Very
chopper and
convoluted.
halfer that anyone has ever built.
Well, let's talk about the scene where it's like the dad is talking to these three doctors. I think one is a veterinarian or later becomes a veterinarian.
Yes.
And he's like, you're my last hope. It's like all the hospitals say they won't do this operation, and he just wants Belial like dead. And so they're like, yeah, we think we can do it. and they grab the kid and then I guess set up like a makeshift operating table on the dining room.
It is
table.
makeshift because they said bring him to the operating room, and it's just they put like a plastic sheet over the dining table.
Dining room.
Yeah.
I assume Frank Henenlotter's mother's home.
Yeah, probably.
You filming what kind of movie in my dining room?
As long as it's not a porno.
Mom, shut up.
It's really gross, but yeah, so they do it, and then they put Belial in a garbage bag outside.
Just put him on the side of the street.
I think that they say later, because he was like, they thought they could kill him, but he just kept being alive. So I think they thought he was dead. It's
Yes.
They
not
thought he was going to die, but then they say that they share no organs. It's just the connection is
Well, that's
only...
a big thing that like people that are like connected is often you can't separate them because they do share organs.
One is going to die.
too dangerous. Yeah,
But they specifically say...
for life.
Yeah, they specifically say that they don't share them. So it's probably very easy. I could probably separate them. I'm not a doctor.
yeah.
So if you are conjoined with someone and you don't share any organs, come to Colin's I don't know.
Tweet at me.
Surgery corner.
But yeah, so you find out that the reason
You
that
can't lose your
they're-
medical license if you don't have
got
one.
If I can carve a turkey, I can carve a human being in half.
He can cut the back out of a chicken.
He can't? Oh no, big reveal.
He can.
Is it like, I was going to say like that Simpson episode where Homer's like reading the book, it's like dog surgery.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to him,
How
like,
hard could
carving
it
the
be?
turkey.
Yeah.
So it's like how to save money.
Yeah, Colin cuts the backside of our turkeys.
Well,
Okay,
no, we roast chickens from time. Let me explain this.
And then he finds him, he's like,
I go to the butcher. I get a nice, organic turkey.
Yeah.
No, chicken.
Or chicken.
Chicken.
get me that one.
No. And in order to cook the chicken faster, you do what's called spatchcocking, which is you cut the spine out of the
Let me just
chicken,
take some notes here.
and then it's like butterflying. You cut the spine out.
You just said another word that I have no idea what
You
it
didn't
means.
know butterflying?
Butterfly?
You
Butterfly
take
shrimps.
meat and then you basically cut it in half and then you go like that.
Oh,
Not fully
okay.
in half. It's
Yeah.
again so it cooks faster.
So it makes a beautiful meat butterfly.
Yeah.
So every time I get these chickens, I end up like cutting and removing the spine. I feel like the predator every time. So I add
Oh,
it to
that's why you have that display of spines over your television.
Spines.
the trophy wall.
You have all the chickens.
And that one is Bill Paxton's.
And you can cook a chicken in 45 minutes, people. Probably less.
than
But so
that. Yeah,
this
deep
is
fry it.
so this has been turkey talk. For all
there have been
for all
no
you
turkeys.
for all
Chicken
you
talk.
Americans, it's Thanksgiving's coming up because ours already happened.
Yeah, our bootleg Thanksgiving that we put earlier than America.
Oh, yeah. When's there? It's November, right?
November or
Ooh,
something.
I like it because one of my friends has Thanksgiving and we all get together, we watch a Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Maybe one day I'll get invited to one of those.
The American Thanksgiving, that's got to be like a 2-week celebration. It's big.
I don't know about 2 weeks.
American
but
Thanksgiving.
They take it apparently more seriously than we do, I guess.
It's almost as big or bigger than Christmas for them.
Really?
Yeah, it's seriously.
But they don't do presents,
Yeah,
right?
you do. You get a turkey and you just open it up and then there's presents inside.
I mean, as
as
far
is
as
my
like
understanding.
travel wise, people traveling, and
Yeah.
as far as I don't know how much time
people
they get
dress
off.
up too,
it's like
April,
4
in
days.
turkey costume.
Then the turkey comes down the chimney.
Oh my god!
And then you got to shoot it and you rip its spine out.
It's called the turkey shoot,
I mean, that's right.
just like that
No,
movie.
the turkey shoot is what you reach up in the turkey to take the presents out.
Ew.
Okay, so what I was trying to say 10 minutes ago is you find out because of
Spatchcocking.
after the flashback
Butterfly.
that Dwayne, he came to New York with his brother to find the doctors that separated them to
Yeah.
get revenge. Because they don't want to be separated. They liked living together,
Right.
And because they have psychic powers, I guess. And they do that, but then tragedy strikes when
Well, I should mention my
They
favorite. April looks across us. She's like, "How? What happened?"
Wait, I'm looking at her going, what tragedy?
Wait, what happens after he gets the second doctor?
I think he
he
kills
kills
three.
three doctors,
The
yeah.
girl, the girl
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah, because he ends up falling for some girl, which is like the receptionist. at
Yeah,
one of
which
the
is,
doctors.
I want Colin to talk about it, so I'll say it's my favorite thing. The wigs in this movie.
Yeah.
Because they are massive.
His hair gets so comically big in
Yes.
some scenes.
I mean, and the
humidity.
woman's hair It
Oh
looks
my
like
God.
the hair is trying to eat her. You're like, is
Yeah.
that the monster from Basket Case?
It's like straight at the top, and the bottom it's super curly, so you could tell like the wig, like
it makes her look like a linebacker because
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
like her shoulders
Yeah.
look huge.
It's so wide. It
Yeah.
goes out. It kind of like spreads out so wide from the top of her head.
And just like Brain Damage, the women in these movies like love the protagonist. The instant they see them, they're like,
no
I
reason.
want to sleep with you.
what did she see in this man?
I don't know.
That sweet curly mullet.
He's a creepy guy carrying around a basket.
He's carrying around a gigantic basket. He looks like a weirdo. And then within 10 seconds, she's like,
She's like, I'm going to take you to see the sights.
she says, I get off at 7. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Gives him his number.
And April was like, women do not talk like that.
Well, that's a script issue, but I also said that I think everybody in this movie, other than the main character, were probably like theater actors because they're very, very big and loud, and I liked that. It
That's
was
very
it was
generous of
yeah,
you,
you
April.
were very generous to say that these people
Maybe
have ever
local
acted
dinner
before.
theater. I don't know.
I don't know. I would say they
Off Broadway.
they probably worked at dinner theaters as like waiters, waitresses.
And he was giving them all a shot. But I mean, we mentioned earlier that this was shot over a long period of time.
Right.
I wonder, like, were these just friends of Frank Henenlotter?
Yeah,
'Cause
probably
that's
just
usually-
personalities he knew
it's
that
usually
he
how
could
it
put in the
goes.
movie. Yeah, exactly.
They don't seem to get better by the end of the movie.
Is that how acting
when
usually
it was
works? And by the end, you're like, they finally grab control. because they shoot films
in order.
chronologically.
Yeah.
Colin's like, these movies are shot in real time, right? They just put the cameras down, they let it go.
On the weekends over the year, they're studying it like with what's his name, Lee Strasberg.
April's like, I thought they would have gotten better with all that training that they got.
He's so method at the end.
Yeah.
When he's running naked through the streets of New York.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
that was weird.
What's your favorite part, April?
Well, I kind of said it before. I think I'm
Tragedy.
going to go with the flashback because even though it was gross and off-putting, I appreciated the backstory, the narrative clarity.
Yeah.
And I found out later that there's been 2 sequels to this movie.
Basket Case 2, where they go to a house of freaks, and Basket Case 3, which Belial and his wife have to save their son from I think it's like a crazy corrupt policeman.
Wait.
At one point, Belial gets into a parody of the aliens kind of powerlifting fight.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So he meets a woman at this house in the second one, and
Yeah,
they
like
birth
another
a
like
child.
a woman Belial. Like
So
yeah.
they look the same. It's like a kind of
Kinda, yeah,
prosthetic?
yeah. They're
Oh
all
my
like
God.
freakish, like Have you ever seen the movie Freaked?
No.
No.
Wait, with what's his name
Alex
from-
Winters.
Yeah, okay.
because he directed it. Because
Right.
they kind of look like that because they're like very like deformed and crazy
okay.
looking. Like there's like one called like Moon Man. He has like a giant moon face.
He's the guy. He's like from the Mac Tonight commercials.
yeah. Exactly. Who is it? It's
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones. Yeah. Have you seen that eBay ad that went
That
up?
was Doug Jones?
Yeah, that was Doug. I think it was his first job. If people look online, search Mac Tonight eBay, they were selling his the mask. And what's horrifying about it is that Mac Tonight always wore sunglasses, and for some reason they painted real eyes underneath, and they look like it looks like a serial killer.
It's horrifying.
like a murderer.
This could be like the new Freddy Krueger. They put him in a
The
movie.
funny thing is, like, who isn't Doug Jones? Like,
Joe Camel.
every movie. Oh, well, that's it's like every movie Doug Jones is in.
He kind of pops up. Yeah, we saw Hocus Pocus
Hocus
recently.
Pocus.
That's
He's
right.
in
Like,
that.
oh, man.
Do you think that they could bring Joe Camel back? Like if he was like cooler?
Joe
Yeah,
Va-
man.
Joe
They're-
Vape.
well, they're gonna ban vaping.
And Joe Camel's like, hey, put that vape down, man. How about you have something that's a little bit more smooth?
and natural. Like,
Wait,
Yes.
what did Joe Camel sound like?
I don't know.
he sounds like a cool guy. Like, that sounds like a guy that's like, jump in my van.
No,
I'm
you
gonna have
sound
some
like
cigarettes."
Chester Cheeto.
Yeah, I don't know what Joe Campbell
Man, there were so... You don't know who Joe Camel is?
No, I know who he is, but I don't think I've ever heard him talk.
I can't remember.
No,
if
yeah,
he
because he
did.
was in a
Seen,
lot
like,
of ads.
print ads,
Yeah,
right?
and it was a
Yeah.
thing that, like, they wanted kids to smoke cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
So they did a mascot. You think it's the same thing with, like, Fido Dido and...
God.
who are the other cool...
Jacko,
mascots.
Jacko from the Energizer commercials.
Jacko? I don't know who that is.
He was like an Australian rugby player from the 80s, and he had like blonde spiky hair, and he goes, "The new Energizer, it's gonna surprise you."
Wow.
And then he would
replaced him
go,
with the bunny.
"Oi!"
It's weird that Chester Cheetah is like a weird like, hey man, you want some heroin? Have some Cheetos.
How about a couple jazz cigarettes?
Did he ever get like his own
Reefer Madness?
He should have got like his own cartoon.
Chester
Did
Cheeto?
he get his own
I don't
cartoon?
think he ever got his own cartoon. Yeah, it was Chester Cheeto, Blue Nights.
He probably had
dark.
he probably had a video game.
Oh, he guaranteed
Everything-
yeah,
everything
it would,
had a
it would
video
like be a CD-ROM attached to like a bag of Cheetos.
I had that. They released the Burger King one where you're the king and you have to like give people burgers.
Oh my
It was
god.
like really horrible. It was an Xbox game.
You bite into a burger and you're like, ow! Oh, it's a CD-ROM.
Yeah, it was in my burger. I mean, there was a Spot game. Was it the
Cool
7-Up
cool
Spot?
spot.
Oh, cool
yeah.
Spot.
I played that growing up and I really liked it, even though I mean it's just a stupid
and you're
platformer.
like,
but
man, I need some 7-Up
I know
for some
it
reason.
really does make you want 7-Up.
Is it? Yeah, because the Cool Spot also had sunglasses, right?
Yeah, and it had shoes, like big white shoes.
Do you think that like Chester Cheeto, if you like saw his eyes, or like fucking bloodshot?
Yo, there'd be
like,
bloodshot from all the heroin and like he's up all night like at the jazz
Danger.
club.
I can't sleep, man. That's why I eat the Cheetos.
He's calling up like Charlie Parker. Hey, Bird! Oh shit, he's dead.
You want to play some tunes? He's like, the fucking Cheetos, man. I can't die. You think I was always orange? That's because I got the Cheetos in my blood. He did it as a joke once. He's like, crush the Cheetos, man. Put them in the syringe.
He did it as a joke, but now he can't stop.
Bird, he's still alive? Hey, Bird!
Chester Cheeto still roams the streets of Toronto.
Killed
looking
Charlie
for
Parker.
that fix.
I don't remember, but I feel like at one point Chester Cheeto came up on a previous podcast
I don't
of
think
ours.
so. I think the Tricks
An
Rabbit
old
did.
one.
Speaking of addiction and
Oh,
brain
yeah,
damage.
Tricks.
Who he did finally get his tricks in an episode where like kids could vote if he got it or not, and they voted
That he didn't get it.
no, that they wanted him to get it because they were so like, why can't the rabbit have tricks? That's
then
all he wants.
And then he died of an
He's
overdose.
diabetic.
He went into a diabetic coma.
Yep, that's right. Very sad end of Tricks. So brain damage.
Basket Case.
Basket Case.
Basket
Great
Collins,
movie.
did you say what you liked about
Yeah,
Basket
I
Case?
did.
He
That was
did.
the
Everybody
first
said
one.
something.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna say
And they killed
I
themselves.
liked Brain Damage a lot better than Basket Case. I'm not saying Basket Case was bad, but they're both
Different
kind of
textures.
The thing
Yeah,
is,
they
like,
are.
Like this isn't a hilariously bad movie either
No.
of them, but I can see like your average moviegoer being like, this is really kind of cheesy and weird, but I found them both enjoyable.
Yeah, very watchable, I think.
If
Yeah.
Brain Damage, its aesthetics are so 80s, Basket Case, even though it came out in the early 80s, feel very 70s.
Well, it
Yeah.
was funny because when he goes to the doctor at the very beginning, there was a sticker next to the receptionist that said U.S. Olympics 1980.
yeah.
So I think it was maybe filmed
Yeah,
in
we're
like
in the early 80s.
Right.
Maybe it took a few years.
79,
Yeah.
or at least
Yeah.
or the sticker was left over. I guess, because there's lots of bell bottoms and.
How was it back then, back in 79, Colin? I saw Basket Case back in the cinema when it used to be called Chester Cheeto's Revenge.
Times Square before it was Disneyfied.
Hey, wait, who puts out Cheetos? We will make a Chester
geez.
Cheeto movie. You just give us the money to do it.
Hostess, I think.
Like they did with the Banana Splits. They want to do like a dark, gritty version of like the Chester Cheeto.
Where's the Banana Splits movie? People have been tweeting about
Love
it
it.
all day
What
because
the
I've
fuck
been,
is Banana Splits?
Well, I was tweeting about that Nicolas Cage
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. Well, you guys didn't see it. I posted. Oh no, you're not on Letterboxd. Yeah, it's directed by a Canadian director, a woman. She did Levels 13, Level 16.
Okay.
And I believe it was a sci-fi movie because they shot in South Africa, and it's all South African actors trying to do English accents.
So where can you watch it? I feel like
It came out on Blu-ray. That's what I own, the Blu-ray.
Oh,
It must be
okay.
on iTunes. Like if it's probably available on all platforms. It's really fun.
It's like I saw the trailer. I'm pretty sure I saw the trailer. So it was kind of like a Five Nights
what
at
does
Freddy's
this
type
have to
thing
do
where,
with
like,
Banana Splits?
Well, you know the Banana Splits were. I think they were a '70s Hanna-Barbera character, and they have like a famous theme song like. Da, na,
No,
na,
I don't.
na, na,
I don't even know
na,
what this thing is.
na, na,
Two
na,
banana,
na,
three
na,
banana,
na, na. Yeah, and it's about like in this movie they're like real live like performers, like a kid show. and a bunch of kids go to see one of their shows, and then they're robots that go evil and start murdering them. There's a lot of crazy practical effects.
That sounds kind of
cool.
fun.
Yeah, it's super fun.
It's like, everyone was comparing it to like Five Nights at Freddy's, which is like a video game where it's like you go to like a Chuck E. Cheese type place. And
I
like
thought I heard that they were making that into a movie.
They've been trying for a long time.
Yeah, but then this Nicolas Cage movie is coming out.
Wally's World or something like that.
Wally's Wonderland.
Which is weird because, like, isn't Wally World the name in Vacation?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
think that'd be
Wally's
copyright.
Wonderland, and then it's like, they just show the premise, and it's like Nicolas Cage is a janitor who battles animatronic like creatures that turn evil.
I don't know. You guys watch Banana Split movie. It does it really well. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
need to see Nicolas Cage do that as well. Like,
Hey, but whatever, man. I compared it to Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
yes, that's right. That's a fun one.
You've seen that?
Yeah. Well, you haven't?
I remember when that came on TV as a kid.
Were you excited?
Yes.
You're like, I got the first issue of Kiss that they put their blood in.
It
Remember
was
that?
just- they put it in the ink.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You didn't know about that? Yeah. Like,
I
there's,
only
like,
know-
photos of them like taking the blood and like mixing it into the ink of the comic book.
It wasn't a whole lot. It was just the red ink or something
Yeah.
like that.
That's not sanitary.
Yeah, I know.
Well, don't
all those,
lick it. You
could
all
get
those kids that
diseases.
like read that comic now have like STDs.
Yes.
So
That's right.
many
Ah,
STDs.
Gene Simmons. Gross. We should do Kiss Meets the Phantom Park if April's never seen it.
No, thank you.
It is
Being-
not good.
I remember being very boring.
But this led me to believe that I should direct a. If you want to do more dark Hanna-Barbera, the Banana Splits meets the Drac Pack.
Oh yeah, the Drac Pack.
Hanna-Barbera made their own Scooby-Doo ripoff. Oh, what was it called?
Skeeby D.
No, it was like Goofy Goobler or something like that. But the gimmick was
thing?
it was all the same characters, even though the dog was like he was blue.
Oh, they just changed the color.
Yeah, but the gimmick was that everybody thought that the threat was human and was always a monster by the end. So it was like the reverse of Scooby-Doo.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. Well, sounds great to me.
They're always ripping off other.
No, they're ripping off themselves.
Did they do like wacky
right.
races as well?
Yeah, they
Hanna-Barbera?
did.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, didn't you visit Wonderland in the 90s when it was owned by Hanna-Barbera and you could meet...
I did.
You didn't know about that?
I did. I think I saw Fred Flintstone walking around.
Yeah, that's why like now the Top Gun ride is like flight simulators because they lost the rights to all the Paramount movies.
That's right, because it became
We're
Paramount.
talking about Canada's Wonderland.
Canada's
people,
Wonderland.
a place in Ontario.
Yeah, it's like the Canadian Disneyland.
It's not really the Disneyland because
It's
it's,
not
more
Disneyland.
like
no, that's why I'm saying it's the Canadian
it's more
Disneyland.
well, it's more like roller coaster and ride centered. But apparently, I went when I was like 5 or 6, and they had a Star Trek thing, and there's a picture of me with a Klingon.
Yeah,
that-
Klingons would walk around.
Yeah,
the park.
that my dad
Because it was
brought
a
this
Paramount
up.
movie.
Well,
And I
Paramount
completely forgot about it.
Paramount bought it afterwards, like maybe.
Oh wait, did Hanna-Barbera own it before? I thought
Well,
Hanna-Barbera
it was
a-
Canada's Wonderland, and then maybe 10 years later, it became Paramount Canada's
Wonderland,
So
yes.
then they started introducing like Star Trek and like Klingons.
Paramount
and stuff
own
like that.
Hanna-Barbera?
Snagglepuss, all your favorite Hanna-Barbera
The
characters.
last time I went to Canada's Wonderland, I saw a Morrissey concert.
And
Morrissey, he's
Morrissey,
bad.
yeah.
beautiful voice.
This was like 1990 or 91 or something.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wait, that was the last time you went to Canada's Wonderland?
Yeah.
What?
It's not for people who don't like roller coasters.
Yeah, actually, I'm old now. Last time I went, I got so sick going on the roller coasters as a child.
I loved roller coasters.
And you don't go to Wonderland. If you haven't been since '91, they've installed like 5 new roller coasters.
can't be bothered.
I do
Can't be
not like
bothered.
roller coasters
Oh, that's
at
why.
all. But you could go. If
Yeah,
you
go
want.
during this time because it's open at night, so you get to ride the roller coasters at night.
What's
Don't
the
care.
Halloween thing that they do at Canada's Wonderland?
Screamers. I don't like that. I'm too scared.
Yeah, they just like chase people with axes.
yeah.
Is
No,
it like a haunted house thing?
No, they just build a bunch of like haunted house kind of things that you can
Yeah.
walk through, and the gimmick is that you can go on roller coasters and the rides at night, like they're all lit up and stuff like that.
Right.
So
and then
it's
you
fun.
realize that like the
Wait.
operator is like a ghost.
So if you like roller coasters, have you been on any in the last 2 decades?
Nope.
Well,
Maybe
there's
you don't
still
like them
time.
anymore.
It's just I like them, but I don't go out of my way to be on them.
So if you came into your home one day and a roller coaster was built, you'd be
Sure.
like, I'd ride it.
Totally.
Okay.
Hey, if they opened a roller coaster around the corner for me, I'd go to it like all the time.
Yeah, I guess Wonderland is
I'm gonna go
45 minutes away.
Wonderland.
It's not in Toronto.
Hey,
It's
take a
outside
bus
of
to
I
Toronto.
think it's
Wonderland.
probably more different than you remember in 91, which was 30 years ago.
Who cares?
Where is it? Barrie?
No.
No.
I thought it was
It's a
in
bus. If you can go to TTC stop,
Yeah.
I hope the listeners are enjoying us us talking about how far Wonderland
First of all, I don't ride the TTC. Second of all,
So now you really can't.
second of all, I ain't getting on no bus.
doesn't
Wait, you
drive.
walk to work?
Yes.
Okay.
He doesn't drive. But someday,
Wait, you don't
maybe
drive?
we'll go to
No.
Canada's
I
Wonderland.
guess you take Lyfts and Uber, right? If you have to get
All the
somewhere.
time,
Okay. Yeah.
This has been scintillating talk about
Here you go. So you've learned
how Colin gets around.
Well, first of all, you've learned how to spatchcock a chicken.
This is like Colin's skill
Butterfly.
set.
Yeah. Okay, so where can they get? I'm asking this question to April.
Well, Brain Damage is streaming right now on Shudder, although I'm pretty sure the Canadian Shudder and the American Shudder are different because sometimes American people
It's-
seem to
it's-
tweet about
it's on
things that we
iTunes.
don't have.
It's on
Oh yeah,
iTunes,
it's on iTunes as well, but it's like streaming right now. And Basket Case we rented off iTunes
Yeah,
for
99 cents.
99
And they've both
cents.
been released on Blu-ray by Arrow Films and big old special editions as well. If
Yeah,
you wanna
like
pick
nice
up physical media.
restorations.
Yep.
Yeah, they
Tons
look
of
really
special
nice.
features.
Yeah, I would definitely check both of them out if you want to see
For
kind
sure,
of like
yeah.
a simple like body horror movie with some great gore effects, and it's not like legitimately scary. It's more like a fun horror.
Yeah, but
movie.
there's some really gross,
creepy
gross
and
scenes.
gross.
Yeah.
And on that note, simple movies that are not really scary, but Impossible Horror is streaming.
Yeah, don't be like that one guy and stop watching after 20 minutes. Watch the whole thing because I'm in it and you want to see me, right?
Yeah, Impossible Horror, a film I wrote and directed that April is in and helped a lot out with, and that Colin did visual effects that you wouldn't even know they're visual effects
Oh,
because they're
man.
so
So
well
good.
done.
Oh, and they're fighting that big like monster, like big rock monster at
the
the
big
end.
rock, the big bee that they fight was a flamethrower.
so
It's
awesome.
good.
It was like,
I had
I
to
wanted
cut
to-
it out. I'm like, it's too good.
No, I wanted to like bring it back to like the devil from Spawn. It's like that was the high watermark.
We had done it with a puppet. And you were like, oh no, let's CG
I was
over
like,
it.
no, man, CGI.
Well, Justin also is in the movie briefly.
Briefly. I mean, yeah, and I wrote and directed it, so there's that
We
too.
want to see him on screen.
75 quick minutes if you have Amazon Prime in the US and the UK. Check it out and give it a review because it actually makes a difference. Because I think a bunch of people gave it 4 and 5, but one guy giving it 1 star
Brings the whole
sank
thing
it.
down.
And he didn't
I know.
even finish watching it though.
He said he watched half an hour, and he sounded like Homer Simpson in the review because he's like, I can't wait for what it is coming. I don't need to wait for it.
He's like, sorry, Matlock's coming on. I gotta go.
I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Well, you never know. He might watch the rest of it and update his review.
Update his review
to a half star.
He's like, whoa, I did not know that there was going to be martial arts fights in this.
Because that's not a joke. There is.
Yeah, so
but
check
it's,
it out.
It's like all those people who watch One Cut of the Dead and stopped it after 20 minutes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Like,
Was there any
you
reviews
missed
of
the
that on
best
Shudder?
part. I'm
there
not sure if
must be.
Shudder does. Does Shudder have reviews?
Yes,
Yeah,
they
it
do. If you
does.
scroll down
You
to
have
the
to go to
bottom.
the website.
Oh, I've only been on Apple TV.
It's a great movie, by the way.
Yeah. So
Oh, One Cut of the Dead is amazing.
It's so good.
I know.
better than Impossible Horror. So watch
Very-
both of them.
That was one of those movies that before the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, but you don't know.
But you don't know. But I don't want to give anything away. I don't want
Yeah.
to say anything. But before that, I was like, why the hell does everybody like
That's
this
what
movie?
everybody says when they see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once the penny drops, it's amazing. It's fantastic.
yeah, and that streaming on Shudder right now. Shudder, sponsor us.
Yeah, Shudder, pick up Impossible Horror. Come on, man.
Giving you
Even
some,
though we
uh,
slammed
$10,
even though
please.
even though we slammed Creepshow,
a Shudder original.
Wait, when did we slam Creepshow?
It was in one of the Patreon
It
episodes.
hasn't. You know what? It has.
Don't say that.
It hasn't,
cut this
come,
out.
it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, okay.
So I might as well promote that now.
What's our next Patreon episode?
If you want to join the Patreon, every 2 weeks you get a little mini episode. And next week we did a little episode on body bags, which is on Shudder right now. Oh my god! But we also talked a lot about other horror anthology movies. We talked about Creepshow. We talked about the Creepshow movies and just about a lot of things in general. Coming out only $5 a month. And if you want to email us, we're at no such thing as a bad movie at gmail.com. Or you can tweet at us, follow us on Twitter at no such thing pod. And my personal Twitter is at April Atmansky.
And my personal Twitter, as opposed to my business Twitter, is Decloux, Decloux, letter J. Also, you can follow me on Letterboxd, just Justin Decloux. You can also follow me on Important Cinema Club, a podcast I do every week. I also have another podcast. If you're like, what movies are coming out
How many
this week?
podcasts do you have?
3!
He's a
Jesus
professional
Christ.
podcaster.
Yeah, man. That's how I
God.
pay the rent. So you listen to Bay Street Video Podcast. It's actually really fun. With me and the guy who runs an actual physical store where you can rent and buy movies.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, Blockbuster, Mark Hansen. Talk about the movies that come out every week. And this is half of the movies that he sends me, I have never heard of.
Really?
Like new movies. I just don't know them. A lot of them are like festival films.
Oh, okay.
Lots of Gerard Depardieu films come out on Blu-ray. Like one's from the 80s and the 90s. Like he was box office champ back then.
How did that happen?
Yeah. And you'll be he'll be like, there's an Underworld ripoff starring Lindsay Lohan. And I was like, what?
Oh my God, what?
He was like, she appears mostly in front of green screen.
That's right. And she's talking on the phone.
Yes.
We saw the trailer for that.
So, yeah, if you want to know all the new movies coming out, impress your friends. Listen to the Bay Street Video Podcast,
And hear
released
what-
weekly.
Hear what Justin thought about My Father the Hero, starring Gerard Depardieu.
No, we talked about, because we were like, what was the big Gerard Depardieu film? And Mark Hansen, my co-host, reminded me of Bogus, the movie where
saw
Gerard Depardieu
Bogus.
is an imaginary friend.
Directed by Norman Jewison.
Yes, directed by Norman Jewison.
Canadian icon.
I saw Bogus in
The
theaters.
Hurricane himself.
And what about Green Card with Andy McDowell?
Yes. I have never seen those. That was the part of the Gerard Depardieu renaissance
I don't think
that I'm unfamiliar with.
I want to say I've never seen a Gerard Depardieu movie.
That is untrue. Have you not seen Babylon AD, the Vin Diesel film?
I have, and I do not remember him.
Yeah,
in
he
it.
appears in one
you
scene.
have.
What other movies is he in? The Man in the Iron Mask, I believe he's in.
Oh, I
saw
keep
it.
trying to get Colin to watch that.
Why?
I love that movie.
He's like a French Devon Sawa. I've never seen I've never seen any of his movies.
Devin Sawa wish he was Gerard Depardieu.
I don't know. I think he got expedited from America, so
Yeah,
I don't
he
think
did.
Devon Sawa wants that.
Yeah.
All right, where can people follow you, Colin?
Just on Twitter, Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
And what other podcasts and or books and or movies would you like to sell? Nothing, because you're pure. You don't sell out.
Well, once again, if
too
you
lazy to
if,
do
if
anything.
you are listening to this on November 1st, 2019, and you are in the Toronto area,
These are very specific things.
come.
It's before, what time does it start?
I think it's 8 o'clock. 8
Yeah,
p.m.
it's
Maybe
before
7:30.
It's before this will come. Hey, maybe I'll drop this early so people have more time to plan, do travel plans. Come see Parole Violators at the Royal Cinema on College Street in Toronto. It's Justin's birthday. You may have seen it covered on a old Best of the Worst. That
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think they did it.
I
Colin
brought it
was
down
on.
for Red Letter Media.
So we watched it. How did you get that DVD? It
Okay.
came with something else?
No, here's what happened. I was looking for Samurai Cop. This is when RLM reviewed it. And then I think I bought Samurai Cop, and then it was like,
You might also like
people
this.
who bought it
Yeah.
also like this and Parole Violet. And then the cover looked really cool, so I looked up the trailer, and the trailer was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The trailer is amazing.
It's so good.
But
This
and it
movie-
doesn't it undersells the movie.
No, it's great. Yeah, so I bought it, and then it just sort of sat on my shelf for years.
How could you turn down that cover of the guy that's shirtless, shocking
With
over
a-
his
a
shoulder?
red
It was one of those
background.
like DVD cases that's like 3 millimeters thin.
Oh,
it's not
it
even
was
like
a thin
proper
one?
It was a thin one, and then it just sat on my shelf for years. And then April was over, and you're like, "Hey, let's watch a movie."
We watched.
Let's watch his hunky beefcake
I think
movie.
we watched some other movies first, and so this was like the second or third in the night, and we just absolutely loved it. We were just dying laughing. I
Yeah,
loved
we-
it so much, and I still love that.
I should
movie.
point out the DVD is also out of sync in the last like 30 minutes,
it?
and the version we'll be showing is in sync.
Oh,
it has been
alright.
picked.
the special edition,
Yeah,
the
that's
director's
right.
cut.
And the movie's amazing because it has like an endless action climax at the end
Yeah.
of the main guy who we've spoken of them before because
Yeah.
we did an episode on They Call Me Macho Woman, which he also directed.
That's
Same
right.
director and the
star.
The star is
Tiny
is
Man
in
or
that
whatever
too.
his
I think
name
he
is.
plays-
Donahue or
Yeah, I
Donahue.
think it's Sean Donahue and Patrick Donahue.
and he plays a guy in this movie called Miles Long.
as Rich Evans said, inches tall.
Yeah,
Also not a
he is
porno.
very tiny. Anyway, come check that out if you hit all of those boxes that
Yeah. That's
April
right.
said.
And if not, maybe just watch Parole Violators because it's a great movie. And I hope you had a happy Halloween. I'm April Dedmansky.
I'm Justin DeBoo.
I'm killing Cunningham.
Oh, come on, give it a little bit more juice than that.
And I'm killing Cunningham.
And there's no such thing as a bad movie or a bad movie.
The Crypt Keeper was here the whole time.
Can you trust trust your mic. Oh God, I have 3 cankers in my mouth right now. Talking is going to be hard.
Trusting my mic.
I'm just very susceptible to cankers.
I used to be for a while too, and then not anymore.
It's
always
because you wear yourself down. And
it's not enough sleep.
I get tons of sleep. No, it's because I drank this really, really strong, like vinegary wine.
Oh.
And I drank it out of the bottle, and
out of the
it's
bottle.
on my
What was out of a paper bag, and then you saw like an alien, and you were like, "Whoa!" And you poured it out.
It's
like buck
the
flower.
details are not important.
I think the details are the most important part of the story.
I don't know. The
Testing.
story is all
Someone
details.
once told me to put salt on canker sores, and it hurts.
Yeah.
I used to do that growing up, but I don't think
I don't
that
think it
actually
helps.
fixes
Yeah, that's like an
it.
old wives'
Nothing
tale.
Yeah,
fixes
it's like
it.
It's like the flu, right? You just ride it out. There's not
Yeah.
much you
Speaking of
can
which,
do.
I got to get a flu shot.
if they have
Are
them.
you susceptible
They're
to
out.
the flu?
No, but I got
Only
a
when
really
she
bad
drinks-
one last year.
Only when she drinks really dark wine out of the bottle.
Like where you wait? Okay, so the out of the bottle detail makes me think that you're like
Okay.
rubbing it around your mouth.
Here's what happened. We had this wine that Colin didn't like. So I had half of it one night, and then the next night we were out.
Out of the
and
bottle.
We came home, and I wanted to listen to this syncable commentary where the people doing it, the We Hate Movies people, were drinking as they were doing it. So I was like, I want to join in. So that's why I was
part of this
drinking it.
podcast
She
too.
sat downstairs in her
And I was
office.
like, I don't want to dirty a glass, so I'll just drink out of the bottle.
That is an insane story. There's so many. I'm glad we're recording because so number one, that you're like, I'm part of the group of this podcast.
Yeah.
Did you send them like a 3,000 word letter after that?
No.
I don't want to dirty a glass, so I'll risk dirtying the couch by spilling this all over my face.
I didn't spill it, and plus it's a red couch.
I don't
buddy.
want to dirty the glass. Is the laziest excuse not to do anything.
That's what hobos say. I don't want to dirty a glass.
and that's why she has canker sores.